So at church today, the sermon was on the book of James, which is probably my favorite book of the Bible. I like the fact that it's 5 chapters, and I like the fact that it's focused on practical application. It's direct, it's to the point. James is telling us what faith should look like in reality. And one of the things he tells us to do, maybe the most important thing he tells us to do, is to watch our mouth. Communication can be messy, and I've had probably 15, maybe 20 people since I took over on the 1st of July have come to me and want me to take action against someone that said something about them or to them on Facebook, social media, text messages. It could be easy to say, well, they should just ignore what people say about them. And maybe that's true. I mean, you're probably all better off if we don't pay attention to the things that are said about us on Facebook or online. But the reason why we tell kids that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me is not because it's true, but because it's a lie. Words can hurt. But we tell kids that because we know that they're going to be better off if they can develop a resilience against some of the nasty, hateful things that people are going to say about them as they go through life. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying that's what we do. So I just want people to remember 2 things. First is that there's no law against people saying things about you on Facebook. You can sue them for defamation, but that requires a judge to consider language, context, circumstance, frequency, intent, all of those things to try to get to the bottom of it and make sure that something is or is not protected under our constitutional right of free speech. That's kind of a long process that's not really best put in the hands of law enforcement. And the second thing is that if someone is communicating directly to somebody, whether it's in a threatening manner, or if it's in a threatening manner, that is handled under statutes. But even then, the bar or the threshold is pretty high. And unfortunately, the reason is, I'll give you an example. We have some dramatic family situations here in the parish, and some of the nastiest, most hateful, hurtful things that I've seen written to other people have been between people that share children or share parents in some cases. The problem with electronic communication is it allows us to communicate emotionally. We can do it very quickly, but it also gives us enough time to consider what we're saying so that we know we can, type it in just the right way to make sure that we get off with the other person. And that just keeps emotions at a high point, which is not really what we want. We want people to de-escalate. We want people to kind of calm things down. So if you know somebody that's in a situation where somebody's saying something about them on Facebook, don't feed into their anger. If they're the subject of defamation, encourage them to take action civilly, not because you want them to win, but because you want what's best for them as a person. You want to calm things down and diffuse the situation. The same thing applies if you know somebody that's being communicated to in a threatening manner. You don't want them to respond. Don't feed into their paranoia. Don't feed into their fear. Encourage them to take action, whether it's through a restraining order or filing a police report. But don't encourage them to communicate back in a threatening manner or to respond in anger. There was even a time when I had to take my wife's phone away from her because I didn't want her to put herself in a position where she was going to respond in a moment of anger on Facebook. Communication can be messy, but we owe it to each other. If we really want what's best for everybody in our family or the people that we hold dearest, we want to encourage them to take action and try to calm things down. But if you have any questions about anything, don't hesitate to reach out to me, and we'll try to take it, try to look at it from the best of angles and see what we can do about it. Thanks.